Hayes Wilkinson here with us today, speaking with Red Bank Local, just trying to grab some insight to all the candidates for the upcoming election, November 8th. So can you give us a little bit about yourself, a little intro, and as to why you're running for commissioner?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Hayes Wilkinson. I am a Red Bank resident. My family and I love living here. I've got a 2-year-old, and I want to see Red Bank be a place where he can grow up and thrive. We like to walk to the park, and we live on Oakland Terrace, kind of by Food City, and very busy intersection. We can almost see the park from our front house, and it's tough to get there sometimes, just on foot. So I would love to see some positive changes made in that direction, and that's a big impetus. But I've got a deep investment in Red Bank. I love the community. I love living here, and it's a new challenge in life, and I think Red Bank has a ton of potential to unlock. It's exciting.
That's great. And we're so happy that you're sitting with us today. We have a slew of questions, so appreciate your time. So let's jump right into the first question. First question that we have for you is the Red Bank mission is really important to the city. So how, prior to running for commissioner, have you embodied that and supported that prior to today?
Yeah, so when my family and I bought our house in Red Bank, it was kind of just before the dark days of COVID, and that time kind of afforded us. Well, one, my wife was pregnant at the time, so when I was lucky enough to be working from home, we spent a lot of time walking around the neighborhood, and when you walk around the neighborhood, you get to meet your neighbors, and a little community gets born, right? And we're super fortunate to live on a block where it's safe to walk, and there's very little through traffic, and you can stand in the street and have a conversation with your neighbor, and I kind of realized something special was in the works for our town right then and there, and my house also backs up to the Red Bank Cemetery, so we walked through there and got to explore the history, some really, really interesting graves, beautiful trees, and it gave me a good appreciation for the city and the history here, and so that's kind of the genesis of where this all happened. And then I started volunteering with the White Oak Bicycle Co-op and realized, wow, these folks are cornerstone community members, and I love what they're doing. They donate bikes to people in need, and it's inspiring to see how many folks in the community care about Red Bank, and I am running to try to give back to the city in a way that I'm able.
And I recently heard that you're trying to work with Clever Ale to do like a ride night. I know they have a ride night, but yeah. I heard there's like a ride night trying to spawn on potentially.
This is in the works.
In the works.
This is maybe a little bit of a selfish way to give back because I'm a big mountain biker. But yeah, so we're looking at October 1st being the first day, but it's a partnership between Clever Ale House, White Oak Bicycle Co-op, who's going to provide some bike maintenance for any folks that need it prior to the ride, and then Sorba, Southern Off-Road Bicycle Association. We all just kind of said hey, there's no group mountain bike ride in the greater Chattanooga area, and we thought this was a great opportunity to start something here, start in Red Bank. Clever Ale House backs right up to Stringer's Ridge over there, and you can leave the parking lot and be on the trail in 3 minutes. So it just makes sense, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Go out and ride, come back and drink a beer, and build some community.
Absolutely.
Make some friends.
Well, thanks, Hayes, for answering that question. So the next question that we have is about the vision of Red Bank, and how is your platform and the things that you've been embodying so far as a resident, how does that look moving forward, and how does it align with the Red Bank's vision?
Okay, sure. So I've got the vision here. I'll read it just
okay.
For the sake of having it here and handy. Red Bank will lead our vibrant and proud community with a commitment to excellence, safety, and enhancing our neighborhood character for future generations. So I mean, this rings pretty true to me, in that I've got a 2-year-old, and that's a big component of why I'm running. I want to see Red Bank be a place where he can grow up and thrive. And I mean, that has a couple different faces to it. How do we get to the places we want to go on a daily basis? Can we ride our bikes to the park safely, or can we cross the street and go get groceries safely? And then also too, there's an economic component of, what does Dayton Boulevard look like in 10 or 15 years? Are we going to have more check cashing places, or are we going to have more places like Pizza Cortile and Clever Ale House and Bread and Butter? These community-centric, focused businesses. What do we want to see here? And that's a whole conversation about values. What do we value as a community? And I mean, do we value making these connections, walking down the street and saying hey to your neighbor? Do we value driving past, waving in the car? I mean, that seems a little bit less personal to me. But and then do we talk about continued transparency in our local government? Meetings were not recorded prior to 2020, and it's hard to understand what's going on there if you can't tune in and pay attention. The minutes are pretty spare, and it's great to be able to go back and if I miss the meeting, I can watch it the next day, and that's a really wonderful thing. And another part of that conversation is continual community engagement too. We want residents of Red Bank to be able to speak up and have their voices heard and feel comfortable talking to their city government. There's kind of a disconnect between the average person and their government. You're paying these taxes, but what are you paying for? Who are they going to, or how are they being spent? And I mean, it's important to be engaged.
Have some top of mind topics that the residents would like to hear each one of the candidates and their position on that. And the first one is commercial development. So what is your position on commercial development within Red Bank?
Yeah. Okay, so it kind of starts with geography, right? So Red Bank is totally encapsulated by the city of Chattanooga. We cannot expand outwards, so we have to grow smart here. And as kind of mentioned before, we have a set of values as a community, and that kind of constructs a narrative of what do we want to see here. Do we prioritize how do we prioritize land use? And we need to preserve the commercial real estate that we have, and I think the city has done a good job of recognizing that it's a resource. It's difficult to add more, and kind of like with the Save-A-Lot property recently, they wanted to rezone as residential, and they didn't. They kept it as commercial. And if that becomes some sort of mixed use development, then that's okay. It adds density and adds you can kind of double dip as far as your tax revenue goes. But yeah, I mean, what kind of businesses do we want to see here? I mean, I want to see more community focused businesses. I want to see businesses that give back to our community in various ways. One of the reasons I actually decided to run too is my next door neighbors opened a business called Good Works Art and Social, and I saw all the hoops that they had to jump through to open that business, and I'm very proud of them for doing that, and it seems like it's going well. So I want to see more neighbors and friends come to Red Bank and see it as a place for opportunity. I mean, the potential on Dayton Boulevard is fantastic. I mean, it's so close, like Red Bank's so close to everything, but I hate the idea of having to drive to Hickson to go get whatever, when why would we do that when we could have that opportunity here instead?
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you giving us some insight on commercial development. Okay, so the next topic of interest for those people who are interested in learning about the candidates is your position on Parks and Rec. Can you tell us a little bit about what you think about Parks and Rec?
Oh yeah. It's no secret. I love parks and green spaces, and I think that you've probably all seen the Save Red Bank Central Park questionnaire recently, and that highlights my points on parks pretty clearly. But just to reiterate in a quick way, I mean, I think parks are totally vital for our community. It is a place where people can gather and recreate and read a book in a hammock or whatever. Just see the fall color next month. places like Stringer's Ridge and White Oak Park, and I'm very hopeful to see, the 12 acres on Dayton, the old middle school property, become a park. I just think that that's an incredibly unique opportunity for the city, one that will not happen again, having a crown jewel of a park right in the middle of town. I think it's worth having a conversation too about Chattanooga and Red Bank being in this amazing spot, geographically speaking. We have access to the outdoors that is really unique in the Southeast. I mean, I think there are about 300 miles of trail within half an hour of the Chattanooga area. And I mean, Red Bank, it's right on 27. We're primed to get to, North Chickamauga Creek or any of the gorges up the Walden Ridge. And then not to mention the new Walden Ridge Park is opening soon as well. And that will be a 200-acre park on the slope of Signal Mountain that, will have, I'm not exaggerating, world-class downhill mountain biking trails. And that will draw people in from all over the Southeast. I mean, people coming from Birmingham, Atlanta, Knoxville, Nashville, further out. And, we need to act as a city, Red Bank needs to act as a city, and get those people that are coming in from out of town, bring them into Red Bank. Where do they want to eat dinner? Like, Pizza Cortile is right there, We need to get some signage up and, point people from downtown Red Bank to the park and vice versa. It is a little disappointing that park is outside of our city limits, but it's so close. I think we need to embrace it anyways, because it's a gem. It's going to be awesome.
Agree. I'm not supposed to remain biased, but that's one of the things or I'm supposed to remain unbiased, but that's one of the things Walden Park or Walden Ridge is going to seem really cool for Red Bank. So I appreciate you touching on that, although it is outside of Red Bank city limits.
I mean, even if you don't mountain bike, there are going to be tons of hiking trails there. There's I think it's called Reed Spring. In the winter, when the waterfall is flowing, there's going to be a beautiful waterfall up near the W Road. It's awesome. it's so awesome.
Cool. Well, thanks for explaining your position on Parks and Rec. Let's go to the next question. One of the other topics that comes top of mind is multimodal transportation. Can you give us a little bit of insight into your thoughts on multimodal transportation?
Sure. As a cyclist, I mean, multimodal transportation is huge. I mean, it's giving people an alternative to, the car-centric society that we live in. Don't get me wrong, I am a car owner. I've got nothing against cars, and they're the right tool when it's rainy. But, we live in the Southeast, and it's a beautiful city. So we want to be able to get out and walk. We want to be able to ride our bikes. I try to commute to work every now and then, and the current options are okay. Certainly have gotten a lot better since the White Oak Connector Trail opened up, and that's an awesome option. It's not necessarily the easiest ride into Chattanooga, but it's a safer ride than going up Memorial by the Duck Pond or through the Stringer's Ridge Tunnel, which is a little hairy on a bike. I don't need to go into too much detail about that one. But yeah, so we as a city can use tools like Strava Metro. So Strava is a ride fitness logging app that uses GPS to track your movements, and their Metro database basically creates a heat map of where are the most popular roads that people are riding and commuting on, and those are the roads that we can prioritize to make the most safe for cyclists or walking or whatever. You can just filter it by activity. So we can use these technologies to improve our city. We can use traffic calming measures. We can bring in public transportation on Dayton Boulevard. There's no reason why CARTA can't run up Dayton. We used to have a trolley. I don't know if you knew that. I learned that recently, and it makes me cry a little bit. Is having an option that doesn't have four wheels and you can just jump on and get downtown quickly and easily. I miss that. I wish that was a better thing. So,
well, and they look cool too, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
not like we'll get a trolley, but
I know we're not going to get a trolley. I wish we could, but we won't. But we can get the electric bus line that runs up and down Broad Street in Chattanooga. Send it on up Dayton. We'd jump on it. Folks would take it. You build it and they will come.
All right, Hayes. Well, thank you for answering that question about multimodal transportation. So the last question we have for you today, Hayes, is what is your position on how we can improve Red Bank's digital capacity?
Yep. Well, to start, I think it's super important to, it's 2022. We live in a digital world, and if you don't get caught up, you're gonna get left behind. For a little bit of background context, my first internship out of college, I worked in a municipal GIS setting. I worked for a company that was contracted by various municipalities around the Atlanta area, and part of that was the GIS group that I worked in, and then there was also a big IT component to that. So information technology, web security, local security, just keeping the wheels turning, and in the city environment. So back to Red Bank. Red Bank runs on a very lean staff. I mean, it's a small city, and we need to be conscious about the money we're spending as a small city. But an investment into technology can help that small staff run in a more efficient way. I mean, you look at our public works, they just got the new the iWork software up and running, where you can go online and request brush pickup or whatever, and that helps our public works director. He's got a very full plate. Currently he's running all the parks, running trash pickup, everything else. So it's important, and also from a community engagement point of view. I mentioned earlier that they started filming the commission meetings in 2020. That's a fairly recent thing. But I know that the engagement has improved since then, and with a better implementation of that and a better online presence from the city, residents can maybe message the city and get a response back right away. They don't have to go down to City Hall and talk to somebody in person if they don't want to. I mean, I would encourage them to. They're all really friendly down there. But yeah, just better back and forth, better, put a face on the city, a digital face, and bring them up to speed.
That sounds really great. Well, that was our last question that we had for you today, Hayes. So I want to thank you for your time and sitting down with Red Bank Local and answering all of the questions that I know a lot of the followers had wanted to hear from all of the candidates. So hopefully we can get everybody on video and get them all spread out. But we really want to thank you for your time today.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Hayes, so much.
Awesome.